Welcome, everybody, back to the Segal Talks here at the Martin Segal Theater Center, the Graduate Center, CUNY in New York City at the City University in Manhattan. And it's another week starting in confinement and lockdown. And we had a Memorial Day weekend behind us, and it will be one to remember, not for the good reasons why we should remember the engagements of life and death and wars, but this is a one that also, I think, in the history of the Americans will be a significant one. And in New York, we are still, in lockdown. Even so, we do go out and for shopping or through the parks, but it is still a dangerous situation with unknown features. We over 100,000 deaths, and the reports from the hospitals are that less people are coming in, but also our healthcare workers and everybody says it's a sign of exhaustion. It's an exhaustion in families and partners, and also the people who don't live as everybody might think, with their friends, families, spouses. So it's a difficult time. It's a trying time. Yesterday, Chris Verdonk from Belgium talked about it, and he reminded us that all of it is about waiting and perhaps doing less, but perhaps engaging more and reading and thinking that so much of theater's work, from Beckett or literature and Kafka, is about waiting and how to deal with it. How much he misses theater, how sad it will be when people will be in masks, sitting far away from each other, because he said the experience of solitude or loneliness, which you might represent it on stage, but you do it in a group, you sit together, and this is not there. And he misses the play, to go outside, and all what theater is about. As James Simpson wrote in his book of A Permanent Revolution, he said art and literature has always been on the side of progress. It has been side of progressive histories and the histories of freedom. Freedoms are threatened around the world. Also, our personal freedoms have been curtailed by that social choreography we are now in. So it is a time, we think, at the Segal Tour, as we always do in our programs, to listen to the voices of the artists who are on the right side of history, the right side of social progress, and how do they experience this moment. They are closer to our present, they anticipate the future, and we have heard voices from around the world, from Egypt and Lebanon and Shanghai and South Africa, from Germany, Belgium, Italy, Ukraine, all around the world for now 9 weeks. And we are coming now also to a great country that has a great theater tradition, one of the major ones from Spain, going back for centuries, and a long one, and it has made major contributions to what we understand as theater and performance is all about. And we are having with us Aina from Sala Beckett in Barcelona, a very significant, important, influential theater in the Catalan region in Barcelona, but also for Spain itself. She's also part of this Centro Dramatico, and of course from Madrid and in Spain. She has studied pharmacology and agriculture, and then she became an actor, and then she became a playwright, and then a director, and now she's also deeply engaged in Catalan literature. It's a true honor to have you with us, and our friends also from the Instituto Roman Lul, Jadranka. When we asked them, we need someone from Spain, and we have many contacts to our publishing. We have published many books with plays from Spain, and also the Barcelona plays, and Benet Ijonet, a playwright who actually died with the coronavirus. We published his book. Marion Peter Holt was the translator. He wrote a beautiful mail about him. And so now we are going to hear a bit from that region. So, where are you? What time is it? And what's all behind you? What's that on the wall?
Good afternoon, Frank. First of all, I want to thank you for the invitation, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am so glad for being here this afternoon. sharing some thoughts and experience about this strange and terrible situation we are all living. I'm at home in Barcelona. It's 6 p.m. and this I decided to just to paint my walls with the days that I've been confined. And I started the 14th of March 14th. And I finished a few weeks ago because we start to another new phase of the confinement when we start to be allowed to go outside. And it's phase 1, it ends. And yesterday starts the phase 1. For being a citizen, you have to do a master of what you can do or not, or what you are allowed to do or not. I want to tell you that it's a pleasure also and an honor being here as an artist, and a cultural agent. And I will try to do my best with my English.
Your English is perfect, really great.
As you can
Thank
hear,
you.
is not my native language, and sometimes I get a bit lost. And please let me know it if you don't understand something, and we'll try to. I will clarify for you the best I can. And if I get very, very lost, we can change the subject and talk about love. I had an American boyfriend, and I have a master talking about love. So just kidding, but
no, that's important. We all lost, and we also need to talk about love. That's
I think, and just in case.
Yeah. No, we are there. But listen, so how is the situation now? Tell us. You can go out on the street. Are there masks? Do you have to write permissions like in France? You have to print something out. Is it a curfew in the night or weekends? What's actually going on in Barcelona?
Yeah, I'm going to explain you a bit the situation from the beginning, because it's not that crazy that from the beginning. I think the situation is crazy in every part of the world. We have been under confinement since the 14th of May, and I couldn't believe it. That was crazy. From one day to the other, the government announced that we were not able to be in the street. We had to be at home, and we just were allowed to go to the supermarket, pharmacy, tobacco shop, and the bank. And we spent 49 days without being allowed to go for a walk. Now, this all seems like a memory from the past, but was difficult to face. I walk in circles on my rooftop, 7 kilometers per day, 10,000 steps.
You really do? Every day?
Every day.
7 kilometers. How many circles?
A lot, because every kilometer was 50 circles. Imagine. 50, no, 200 circles. It was crazy. But I felt as a hamster and as a prisoner sometimes. But the situation outside was so hard, and I held my responsibilities as a citizen. There were a lot of people dying. Hospitals were overcrowded, without respirators for everyone, sanitary staff without safety protections, a lot of people dying alone without their relatives at their side, and families were not allowed to go to their loved ones' the funerals. Imagine how that can affect their emotions and feelings forever. No, in Madrid they didn't have enough morgue space for all the corpses, so they had to store them in an ice rink. But now it seems the situation is more under control.
The coffins was where they were on the ice of the Barcelona ice hockey team.
Yeah, that was crazy and so sad. And we look at that like, what's going on? What's happening? We were not ready for that. But now it seems that the situation is more under control, and for the last weeks we are allowed to go for a walk and practice some individual sports. And since yesterday, bars and shops are open, and they say we can meet friends. Just up to 10 people can gather, but it is a step after 2 months and a half without being able to see anyone apart from your flatmates. I'm living alone. Wow. Anyways, society is under shock, and nobody expects this, and no one was ready or trained for this. It just happened.
So bars are open, but only 10 people can be in a bar?
No, you are just able to meet 10 people at home or in a bar or wherever. And bars have to, I don't know how many people can be in the bar, depends on the dimensions of the bar. but you have to have the social distance in between the other group or the other people.
Oh, so there can be different groups of 10 people. Do you wear masks? Do you have to wear masks?
Yes, it's yeah, I don't know if they tell us that it's better we wear masks, but I don't know if we have to do it by law yet. They say that from one of these days it's going to be obligatorio. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. Obligatory.
That's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I have
That's
a beautiful ones. I have a handmade ones that I bought. And
yeah.
Yeah.
We have to show them to us maybe
They are
at some point. So, what is the situation then for theaters? Of course, I guess everything was closed, but now in that different phase, what's going on in theater?
Theaters, depends on the theater. There are from this Monday we are allowed to open the theaters.
Really?
But yeah, but with a lot of restrictions, and it's not that easy.
Yeah.
I hadn't studied all the law because the part of the production team of Sala Beckett is doing that, but we have to wear masks, sometimes glasses for rehearsals, gloves. You have to be sure that everyone is having the social distance or the safety distance. It's not a social distance, it's a safety or sanitary distance. And the occupation has to be under 30 persons in every venue for the time being. But everything is changing every day. You have to be all the time reading a lot of documents from the government and just trying to manage that. But from today, we are able to open the theaters, but it's not that easy because you have to clean all the building every day, a lot of times, do a sanitary preparation for everything, just put I don't know, signs everywhere explaining people what they have to do.
So let's say you have a 300-seat house, 100 people can come in, 30% more or less.
No, it's not 30% because they say 30%, but nowadays, today, has to be not more than 30 persons. And in the phase 2, it's going to be 50 persons.
Wow, I mean, it's the first time we hear on the Segal Talk that theaters are reopening, and even 30% seems high with the distance between the rows and the mask. So let's say today in Barcelona there are actors with plastic gloves, mask, and goggles and plastic rehearsing.
No, not today, because no one is doing that. No one. They say that we can do it, and before, from yesterday, you are allowed to do it, but you need to have a plan with the laws and everything, and they need to validate your plan, and then you can open. And it's not that easy, because there are a lot of administrative documents to do, and a lot of people didn't want to rehearsal in these conditions.
Yeah. So
and
what
sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
Please do.
No, that most of the theaters decide not to open because it's if you just have you are allowed to have 30 persons in your theater. This is from where you get the money. No, it's not working at all, and we are gonna try to do the first show in July.
July, okay.
Yeah.
What's going to be the first show?
The one that was on when the confinement starts. It's called La Morta by Marc Reuet, and it's an adaptation of contemporary playwright Marc Reuet of a play by his grandpa.
Mm-hmm. So you're continuing. What have theater artists been doing in Barcelona in that time of confinement or at the moment? How did they react?
From my work in Sala Beckett as a part of the artistic team, I'm overseeing programming in there. I talk with a lot of artists because my job, it's part of my job is design the calendar, the programming calendar. And I need to talk with a lot of artists. And that was a bit sad, a bit crazy, because everyone was, what's going on, Aina? What is going to happen? And I was telling them all the time, I don't know. We need to learn to manage uncertainty. We don't know. It not depends on us. And people were writing a lot. I see some rehearsals, Zoom rehearsals. Some others were very depressed, saying, I can write, I cannot create, I'm not able to do anything. I don't know what is going to go on. And depends on the artist, on the way they afford that. The thing is that I feel that I'm a privilege because my economic situation is good. But most of the artists, because I'm working at Sala Beckett and also I'm working in Centro Dramatico Nacional, and my economy didn't depend just on my artwork. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of artists that they have just intermittent works, and if they are not working in a show, they are not getting paid, and this is very difficult to face for them. And now the government, because of the pressure of the theater world, they decide to do some things, some measures to and give some grants for artists. But at the moment, it's just a short-term measure. Mm-hmm. We need to see what's going on, but it's not easy, and people doesn't know. People is disoriented.
Mm-hmm. Barcelona is such a town of theater. We publish many plays, and the Barcelona plays, Benetti Jonet, and many others. Is this changing theater, what people think about what theater and performance is? Do you feel there will be a before and after in the Barcelona theater scene?
I think for sure it's going to be, but I don't know how, because we are just landing in this situation. No, I feel that a lot of queries are going to fit our new queries are going to fit our artwork, because the situation, the social situation, is very difficult. We don't know if how this is going to affect the economy of the country, and how all what happened, a part of money, a part of our work, what happened with the society, people dying, no? And people dying, and hospitals overcrowded, and all that things are gonna change the way that we create art. But I don't know how yet, it's too soon.
Hmm. Do you feel your government responded well to the crisis?
Yes, somehow yes. Of course, there are things that they could do better, but it's very difficult. How do you can imagine that the virus is going to come and you have to just decree the state of alarm, sanitary alarm? They try to do, they are doing good things, but they will need to do more, because you know, for me the crisis amplifies the lacks of the system, no? And everything now we are seeing the lacks like this, no? There is a lot of people in a vulnerable economic situation, and that is going to have consequences. And now is the time to decide. The government or the public administrations need to decide they have two scenarios, no more, but just to simplify, they can just choose one and say, okay, I'm going to do what I was planning to do before the crisis, or I'm going to try to help, or I'm going to try to change a bit the society and the way that the state is taking care of people that it's undercovered.
Mm-hmm. So do you, if theater is of interest, it's always also because it's a model. It's a model for the real, for the symbolic, and for the imaginary. So if things are changing, also they are represented often earlier in theater and performance. Will you change things, how you present work at Sala Beckett? Will that have an impact, this crisis?
Yeah, as I told you, for sure something is going to happen. No, for sure something is going to change, because theater or art, it's a dialogue with society and with humanity. And if you are an artist, you are in constant dialogue with that. And now we need, as an artist, to create the imaginary world different. And I don't know what is going to happen in Sala Beckett yet. I think we are going to start to work in there in 15 days or in around 15 days. And we have a lot of shows that we need to program next season, because we have the commitment with the artists and the ones that we couldn't show the last months. But I think we need time to see what's the reaction of the playwrights and what they write down. We had an open call for one of our main programs. It's the Artist in Residence, and we have a playwright in residence. We have every year one playwright that we pay him to write down a play, and we produce that play. And also that person is involved in our artistic committees, no? And we are doing activities with that playwright and everything. And we received 95 projects, and most of them write it down from the confinement. And I don't have a theory yet, but I see, what people is worried about, why we work, how we get relate with the family, how we get relate with our relatives, how the society is going to be after that. And I read 90 projects, 95, and I see that, yes, something that the topics are changing a bit. People is asking what the hell is going to go on. And we need time. We need to give time to the writers to land in this situation, just to analyze it and then create. Also, in July, we are going to do our international summer school. We did it for the last 14 or 15 years. And we need to change some things, because it's an international school, and obviously the international teachers and author playwrights are not going to be able to come. But we are going to do some online courses or workshops, and other ones on site, and most of them are going to be related with the situation. And we are going to do some talks with cultural agents, sanitary staff also, and we are going to try to revise a bit the literature from other pandemics, just to evaluate a bit the situation. And we are going to try to do some activities in the public space, because it's where because I think it's time to try to get into, to step into the public space. Not for everything, it has to be a mix, the programming, but you feel more safe in there.
What's the public space in Barcelona? What do you mean by public space?
Streets or squares. but we are working with the mayor house to go to a park beside Sala Beckett, a beautiful one, and to do a course in there. Workshop and the talks, some stage readings also, but we are working on all the administrative stuff to get the permissions.
I know Sala Beckett is really dedicated to playwriting and to authors. Are there digital initiatives that things might not happen in Sala Beckett, not in the parks? I don't know if you plan things for the parks, also performances or the public spaces, but will there also be things online? Are you preparing to do things online?
Yeah, no, the park activity is just going to be a part, because we are going to do just a part of the activities, because we are going to do activities
just
in
the
Sala
workshops.
Beckett.
You will do just workshops in the parks, but no, you're not going
some
to go
stage
out.
readings, but not shows at the moment. Just workshops, some talks, and some stage readings or park readings then. And we do some activities in our venues and in our classes and everything. And we are going to do some online activities. We are doing activities online right now, some courses, workshops, and some of them were on in the beginning of the confinement. And the others we create, we are working on and designing the news, the International Summer School workshops, and we are going to have Javier Dolte from Argentina, also Tim Crouch from England, and we are working on that now.
So do you show work from Sala Beckett? Is it's recordings of shows, or do you have actors read monologues, poetry? Is there something you online? And what do you think of online offerings by theaters at the moment?
I haven't seen any screen theater because I didn't feel in the mood to, because as a programmer, I used to go to the theater 3 or 5 times per week, 11 months a year. And I didn't see, I haven't seen it. But I think there are a lot of good offers and good shows and everything, and people is enjoying a lot, seeing screen theater and everything. But I haven't done it. In Sala Beckett, we haven't showed the recordings of our shows, but we just publish again some talks that we organize our programming with activities about debate and thought, and we just did that, and we are organizing some talks too in between playwrights now. But we need to stop the activity in the beginning, because we prefer to stop, and then we are starting now with the online proposals.
Online proposals. So in a way, you wait till that is over, that you can open again. I mean, the Public Theater in New York commissioned, or it was the idea of a writer that did a Zoom show. I mean, Nelson created based on characters that often come in his work. So they created an online work that existed only on Zoom, but you feel you are trying to get back to being able to show the work of the writers in a way that's respectful.
Yeah, I think that it's good to find ways or use all the online tools to show theater, no? But it's thinking theater to be done into this virtual world. But it's not the same that just recording a theater that you were supposed to do with the audience in a venue and just put that. I'm not interested in that. But I think that for a lot of months we are going to adapt ourselves to these new tools, and we are going to do design some stuff like that, and it works. They told me, "Hey, Aina, just look at this or look at that. No, it's good and it works because there are things that are planned to be done with those tools." But not in Sala Beckett, but as a cultural agent and as an artist, I think that we need to go to the streets and the squares and the public space. I had a project with Andres Lima. He's a well-known director here in Spain. He's my friend, and I called him and said, Andres, I got all of this in my mind. What do you think? And we start to create the project. Now it's we are asking to the public administration, local ones, to pay to pay artists to create in the street, because I think that theater is the most beautiful thing, or the thing I miss more, is the encounter, the real one. And yes, you can be watching a show in Zoom and knowing that there are more people with you looking at that, but it's not the same. It's this community feeling, no, that we need to recover it, because people is going to be scared to come back to theater, or to, if they told you that you have to go to the supermarket with a mask and clean your hands and everything, then we need to find ways to make people, or the audience or society, to feel confident with the theater or the scenic arts.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. Many artists also we talk to from around the world say perhaps it is a moment to also reflect on the structure, on the system of theater, and also to leave the space, perhaps use it for the moment in a different way. It could be an exhibition, or theater artists living in the theater and creating, but perhaps in streets or public spheres, there will be an engagement. My question for you as the person, as Aina, the person who studied pharmacology and also agriculture, were you prepared for this confinement? How did you experience it? What is going through your mind? Did you even have time to think, or did you work so much?
I'm going to explain it to you. I work a lot, but I'm yeah, I've been doing all the Sala Beckett's work, and I've been doing also, I read a lot, because I read things from Sala Beckett, the projects and the plays that that arrive there, and also the ones that arrive to Centro Dramatico Nacional. But and I've been studying too and reading a lot for my studies, but I have time for myself and to create, and I wasn't ready to afford this situation. In the beginning, was so hard, but now I feel good. I spent 70 days alone.
70 days alone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at home. And it's not that bad. Sometimes I get nervous and I have some anxiety, but I just face at it and saying it's normal. You are at home alone, working, creating, but alone, without the contact of the skin of the people you love, without kisses, without hugs. And this is sad, but it's how it is. And I feel good. I feel inspired. I write down 2 little pieces. One, it was for the prison, a prison here in Barcelona. The teacher asked me to write down something for them, for the prisoners that are doing theater in there. And I wrote about a conversation that I heard while I was doing some roof watching from my sofa. And I wrote about that conversation that I heard, that was my neighbor talking with his grandma, and saying that he had that whiskey was going to protect them from coronavirus, but he has a lot of theories. And I was like, what the fuck he's saying? Sorry. What he's saying, whiskey. And he was saying, just grandma, please drink whiskey all the time, all day. And I wrote a scene about that, because we are a bit nervous all, and we are seeing things like that. And I just wrote down a funny story. And from the Centro Dramatico Nacional, they asked me a short piece too for their web. And it's going to be in there next week, I guess. And it's about the homeless that lives here in a square beside home, that I just passed by the other day at 8 o'clock, the time for the plows. And one woman started to applaud, and he was, what she's doing? Why he's applaud? Why she's clapping their hands? And I was just imagining a monologue of a person that homeless that doesn't understand anything. People is with masks. Everyone at 8 o'clock is going to run, or it's running and biking, and streets are empty. And I wrote down another funny piece about that.
Mm.
And also, this week it's better than the others, but I had to make a decision because I was in the point I was supposed to show my new play in Greek Festival. I don't know if you know that, Greek Festival. It's an international festival, summer festival here in Barcelona. And we were supposed to start rehearsals today, and I just decided to stop the rehearsal. I made the decision to not sorry, I get lost now.
No, that's fine. No, that's good.
I made the decision to stop the premiere. We are going to have the show we are going to have the premiere in autumn, but not now, because I didn't want to put my team in that situation. I didn't want them to the producers to do the sanitary plan for the rehearsals. And I think it's a bit insane, a rehearsal with gloves, masks, glasses, safety protocols, and without hugging each other. And I just made this decision, and Cesc Casadesús, the director of the festival, understood that very good. And we are going to do a reading, but we are going to do a part of the creation of the process in July. And at the end of this creation week, we are going to do a stage reading, but with elements, with music and design, and with a stage design also. And we are going to do that on site and also on streaming. And
so today you had to make up your mind if your play would happen under those, however, Corona, COVID-19 sanitary confinement circumstances or not. Other colleagues of yours, will the play be done? Do you know?
The play will be,
for the Greek Festival. Other plays, do you think plays will be shown? Rehearsals will start next week?
So some ones are gonna do it and are gonna have the premiere in the Greek Festival. Some of them were already done, and some of them are gonna rehearsal in other circumstances, because there is people that is not in Barcelona rehearsing, and in other communities the situation with coronavirus wasn't like in Barcelona, and they are in the phase 1 for the last week. They were able just to meet people more than 10 persons. And depends, the festival, they announced last week that it's gonna be on, and there are gonna be different activities. Not all the shows that were supposed to have the premiere in there are gonna be able to do it, but
so maybe it's all going to be a dream for commercial producers. No more than 10 people involved, including actor, director. It's going to be much cheaper and easier to do. But I hope in New York often, people look at plays. More than 4 people? No, forget it. I'm not going to read it. But listen, if I may ask you, you talked about love, and but Chris Verdonk yesterday said we are faced with existential questions now. If we don't think about it now, whenever. And so what are your thoughts? Since you mentioned it, what are you thinking about?
I feel strong to face this crazy situation. I guess because all my needs are covered, and I have got all I need, beloved people around me, taking care despite of distance, our work to do. I'm passionate about my work, and my studies are going well. So I just need to be relaxed, and I'm thinking a lot of that. Just, Aina, you have to be relaxed as much as you can to afford that what is going to come, to manage all the uncertainty. And sometimes I feel disoriented, but I accept it. And also, I'm thinking when I'm going to be able to go to the hairdresser. just kidding a little bit, but
oh, sure.
it's something a bit stupid, but it's like, wow, what when life is going to be normal, and what normal is going to mean. And I'm very, very, very worried about how our governments are going to treat us as citizens, and how they are going to do to support the whole society, but the artist, especially for me right now, because we are talking about art. And I think art is something that has to be protected, and creators has to be protected, because we are not just an entertainment. We are something that helps the society to release the fears, the traumas, and the art helps us to question ourselves about life, about situations, and with the representation we see human behavior and human conflicts in there, and now we can step or move on from our mental or our worries, and I'm worried about that, because I don't want to imagine a world without art, or without artists, or artists just homeless artists. No, I think that the public administrations, the states, the governments need to do something with all the people, and also to protect art as persons or as people who helps to give medicine for our souls and our spirits. Art is medicine. During confinement, everyone is listening to music, watching movies, reading more than ever. So who is creating that? Why? The art is a window to paradise or to hell, but a window to travel. And we need that windows.
And you're afraid those windows could be closed, so that it's not enough done by the politicians or by government, or by society.
Yes, sure. I'm afraid of that. I don't want to be, and I think it's not time just to complain. We need to take actions and do things and be strong and try to help or pressure the administrations just to ask them to don't let art just go. But it depends on the crisis, the economic crisis that is going to come, and it can happen. It's easy. It's not going to be the first time that happens. And artists are going to create, for sure, because it's something that we don't do for business. We do it's just something, it's an impulse, something that we need to do. But if you don't have support, or your economic situation is not good and you have to work in other things, then you cannot create that much, and I'm scared of that. And I think some things are happening, and here in Spain, politicians are aware of that. They are trying to work on that. They just start to open to public open calls for grants for artists and everything. But this is a short-term action, and I want to think in a long term, and I'm worried about that. The long term, it's like when you are going to be able to open your theater with 50 persons, it's okay. You don't need any grants, or you don't need any support. No, because we need the audience, not just for economic reasons, also for artistic reasons. we need this encounter, no? And I'm worried because everyone is saying, no, it's going to be like this or like that, but nobody knows. Every day things are changing, and we need to be there, aware, and try to just manage that uncertainty and protect the artist all the time. It's patrimony. It's a word, patrimony. Yeah.
Yep. Patrimony of art. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
protect,
patrimony.
Shelter, support. Yeah. So how do you protect yourself? What do you do in the day? You say you sit down. Tell us a little bit. How does your day look like in Barcelona? How does
I woke up always very sleepy. I need 1 or 2 hours to be awake.
Around what time? About what time does it start?
Depends on the day. Today I start at 9 or no, at 10. But some days I woke up at 8 and another's at 12. Depends. I decided to don't use the alarm clock just in case that I have a meeting or something, but I don't use the alarm clock. And I drink a lot of coffee here in the balcony with the sunlight on my face, and I start to plan the day. And I work for Sala Beckett a bit, for Centro Dramatico Nacional also. Sometimes during the afternoon, I'm doing my homework or my university task, and I do some sport. I did martial arts for 8 weeks or something like that, a friend of mine by Zoom, but I need to stop it because I work a lot. The last weeks I work 14 hours per day, more or less. And
that's a lot.
It's too much.
Too much, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the concentration. It's different sometimes, and you need more time to get in. And now I'm starting to be my normal rhythm again, with my normal rhythm again. But yeah, I had a lot of work to do, and I'm planning. We are planning called the next season, the 2021, from September to July, and I'm making phone calls and talking with artists, and the phone calls are more long, in this situation. Yeah, because in another circumstances, you call someone just to give some dates or the period for the show and everything, and you spend 15 minutes or 10 or sometimes more if there is something to resolve or a conflict or whatever. But now it's 1 hour talk sometimes, everyone is just, what are you doing? And we are, and explain the situation, and it's more, everything is more slow. And sometimes as I finish work, I do some Zooms or a phone call with friends. And when I close the computer, I took a beer, fresh one from the fridge, and I sit here in the balcony watching the moon and listen to some music, and that's all.
When do you do your running?
My running at 8 sometimes, and now from the last weeks, a friend of mine gave me a bike, and I got it's an old bike, but for me it's my new bike, and I'm going to La Barceloneta. It's the beach here in Barcelona. And I bike there. It's 1 hour, just go and come back, or 1 hour and a half. And I feel so good and so free, for just with the air in my skin. And it's like, wow, who could imagine that? That I was like over that those emotions just biking. It's like you have been in prison or something like that. It's not the same, but it's the freedom of movement.
Since you engaged with agriculture or pharmacology, with medicine, healing, and acting, directing, what What helped you to get answers, to create meaning? What was most useful for you?
That I don't know, just to understand a little bit more how we work as a human bodies. But I create my first publication, the first play that they published me, it was about evolution, genetic evolution. But I decided to just not to talk too much more about that. It's just something that I got in my mind, and it's useful if you, I don't know, you feel you have some headaches, you know what you have to take. And if you have some plans, you can make them grow better, but it's not that much in my artwork. No.
And
I was, if you want, I can explain you a little bit what's my play about, the one that I was supposed to have the premiere in Greek Festival.
Sure.
It's a monologue, and it's called The Galaxy of Fireflies. And it's based on a personal experience that happened to me when I was 21 years old in a Latin American country. I was kidnapped for many hours, and they put me some guns on my head, but nothing happened to me. All ended.
You were kidnapped. You were kidnapped.
Yeah. For a lot of hours, and everything ended well. Nothing happened to me. Just guns on my head, and that's not that much, after all. Meanwhile, when you are in there, it's very hard, but nothing happened. But the play is about the consequence of this that assault, about the government apparatus that this situation activates, and how they reacted, because 4 people from a rich country were hijacked by 5 people from a poor country, and that was terrible. And basically, with the play, I'm talking about the privilege, about the moral, and about the ethical precepts, and how the perspective of being European changed for me forever. Death and dying and killing, it's not the same if you have born in a rich country or in a poor country. And that's the world as it is. And I wish I was older when I had the perception of that in my own skin, but we can choose everything. And I wrote it down 20 years later. I need 20 years to write about that. And the play is gonna be, we are working in the edition, or the edition of the play, and it's gonna be a bilingual book in Spanish and in English. And I hope we are gonna have this during the reading that we are gonna do during the Greek Festival.
So it does deal with life and death, class, the country, rich countries, poor countries. A lot of what is also
no, I'm not
Corona
gonna say
themes.
it.
No. I mean, for Corona. No.
Yeah.
It deals with themes that come actually up, in this Corona time. What we have here. So what do you read? I know you study now literature at the university, but what do you read and what do you listen to in these days? What helps you? And
I read a lot of plays, new ones, the ones I already told you, the ones that arrived to Sala Beckett and to Centro Dramatico Nacional.
But for your studies, you say you are studying, right? I know. What do you read? What do you read?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now. And I read some philosophers, because I'm doing a mention in philosophy in my degree. I'm not an expert. I'm just a beginner, but I'm thinking a lot that we need to revisit the age of enlightenment in terms of democratic value, and in terms of being subjects, but also sovereigns as citizens. No, I read Rousseau a lot, and I think there is something in there that we have to revisit a bit. And I also read Nietzsche. I love Nietzsche. His philosophy, not him, but I guess we need to learn from him the will to kill the ruling power and become free spirits. It's what I'm always revisiting him because of that. And I read Bolaño, the Chilean. It's a poet. Bolaño is a poet, and also Murakami, the Japanese writer.
Murakami. Bolano, the novelist, who was the
See, it's the
Savage
novelist,
Detectives.
but,
Yeah. But it's poetry.
But for me, it's a poet. It's not a novelist.
That's true.
It's
great books. Yeah.
And I'm listening a lot of music, but there is a song that I listened to it the first month of confinement a few times a day. And I used to dance it a lot here, just jumping and dancing. And it's Across the Universe by the Beatles, because despite everything, nothing is going to change my world.
Nothing's going to change my world, yeah. It's giving an additional meaning,
Yeah. I cry some days dancing this song. Because it was like everything keeps changing, but I need to just be focusing myself and try to protect myself from all what's happening and try to find my courage.
Yeah, these are for sure moments you would not have thought about a couple of months ago, that you would be at home running 7 kilometers on your roof, that you would be dancing to the Beatles crying.
No. I was thinking, wow, I'm going to be at Sala Beckett. I'm going to travel to Madrid for the committee. I'm going to be rehearsing, studying, going to Menorca. My parents are from Menorca, little island in the Balearic. And I miss my island a lot and my parents a lot too. But I was thinking that my life was going to be that. And boom, just stay in your place and do everything from here. Life change.
What do you think will be, let's say all goes well and phase 1 and 2 and 3 come, but from those days of confinement, what will you take? What have you learned? What have you experienced where you feel this is the most significant insight I had?
Just to take life as it is. The things that you cannot change. I learned it before, but now it's more deep. It's a deeper learning. Because what you can do, I was here and thinking, I got everything I need. I can go to the supermarket, just have good food, nice wine, nice beers. My friends are there in my phone, not beside me, but life now is like this. And if I use my energy to get angry, depressed, and complaining, I'm not gonna transform anything, or I'm not gonna help to find the ways, or I'm gonna find my ways to get related with the new reality. I need all my energy. And I learned that, and I spend a lot of time just connect with yourself and see what you can do. This is the situation. What you need in this situation, transform your needs in your objectives.
I like your idea that you also say, that it made you read Rousseau and the Enlightenment, and that we perhaps all have to get back to think about this participatory democracy we are in. What are your thoughts? What if you read his work? What comes to your mind? For if you say things have to change in Spain, and you also worry that they won't change or get worse. So what do you think needs to be done?
If we revisit the age of the Enlightenment, they were asking to the state to give people the basic needs, to solve the basic needs, to let them, explain this in English, it's not easy right now, but I'm gonna try it.
You're very good. Your English is great.
No, the state need to give the citizens education, a house, and sanitary stuff, and sanitary needs, and also food and everything, and help or work, not help, work to have citizens that can think and make decisions by themselves. And I'm going to try to connect this with the coronavirus. I imagine two situations. A poor person living in a poor neighborhood here in Barcelona that has no, when the coronavirus starts or the confinement starts, that person has 3 children, no work, no support from the administrations, has to help his kids to do the homeworks and everything, and also is receiving from a friend of mine called now the Spanish, all the government announce propaganda from the government saying you have to be at home, you are gonna die if you go outside and everything. Imagine how do you receive that if you don't have the tools to question that a bit. And another person that has everything solved and everything and can just spend time looking for information and create their own thoughts, perhaps is going to question something, no? And I think, and it's not going to say, oh, the government is saying that I have to do it. No, question that too. I understand that we need to be close at home because it was a sanitary emergency, but they treat us like a child. It's like if you go to the street, policemen are there. You will need to. They are gonna put you. You will need to pay a ticket if you go outside. And I was thinking, why I can walk in my rooftop, and I cannot walk into the street just for 30 minutes a day. I don't care, but with order and everyone respecting. And it seems like we are just childs, and we are just subjects, not sovereigns. And this is not easy, but perhaps there is something to think about that. We are not gonna be. We are not gonna apply all what Rousseau was saying. I don't know what or what he was saying, but why in the 18th century they were questioned that, and now we are just saying yes. Sorry, we are just saying yes to everything, not questioning our democracy, which are the tools for the citizens to decide the laws or what they apply on us. It's like, this is the law, you have to do this, you have to do that. Perhaps no. Yeah. The responsibility of every citizen and the mature as a citizen. And I feel that they treat me a bit as a child.
That's true. I mean, the government tells you have to wash your hands, and
yeah,
and that's it's quite a serious measure, and we do question what are liberties. What are the ones that mankind has fought for centuries, and what are the histories of freedoms that are endangered, and maybe we took also some for granted, and we shouldn't. But that it is a participatory project, as you say. We have to ask this question and engage, and also fight, as you said before. Fight for what we need, and theater, I think, always has been, on the side, of fighting for the in that complex history of freedoms, but to fight for freedoms and for the liberties in all ways, and for everyone, and not just the liberty of one or a certain class. So it's certainly, I think, a moment where we reevaluate this, and your work in Sala Beckett and in Barcelona, but also your life, of course, is all part of it. And what we do does matter in our lives, but also in our works. We're coming closer to the end. I really thank you for this very open, honest talk that also reflects the complexities of that moment we are in. I'm sure you also speak with young artists, and emerging artists or people in general? What do you use? What advice do you have? I know you said something, but what advice?
Being an artist never was easy. So don't hesitate and keep on with your art, despite Corona, despite the economic crisis, despite everything. Find your inspiration in the context. Connect with your soul and try to connect other souls with your artwork. Always be honest with yourself. Don't work to seek approval from the others. Work to fulfill yourself. Knowing that the harder you try to be like it, the less you will achieve. But keep on always. Art is not a business. It's a way to communicate. It's a dialogue with humanity and with society. So choose what you want to communicate with your art and what you want to amplify with your work. Be a magnifying glass, an uncomfortable one, please.
Thank you. That's very, very beautiful. Really think what you want to do with your art and be a magnifying glass, but also an uncomfortable one. So, but go on and engage with art. So this is a very, very, very beautiful. So thank you for that, moment you shared with us in Barcelona, in your neighborhood. I mean, it's different experience for everyone. If we would call someone in Madrid or in Malaga, it would be different. A week, 2 weeks earlier or later. But these are real moments. So really, thank you. And I think this is significant for us to hear what you go through and how it relates to our lives and what lessons we can learn from this. So really sharing your experiences of significance, and it adds the kaleidoscope, that incredible kaleidoscope we are experiencing here with our Segal talks, but also I think the world is experiencing that, everything does matter in faraway places and very, very close ones, and the microcosm we now observe at our homes. And we will go on this week and we hear more voices, significant ones. The great director Anne Bogart from New York is here with us with her CT company. She has really made major contribution to theater over decades. So a teacher and director. And so we will hear from here. Patricia Cornelius from Australia will talk about also a playwright, a woman who early on connected with the society, the classes, the voices of the people, and to detect them, and to anticipate and to mirror our moments in shifting moments between people, relations, and objects, I guess, also on stage. So and Hoi Fai Wu from Hong Kong will join us, where it is perhaps at the moment also even more burning question: what will happen after confinement? How will the political fight also be for artists, and what is the role of an artist in a time where it now seems that perhaps the history of Hong Kong, the promised 50 years of freedom, have been cut short, or will be dramatically cut short. Or perhaps he will talk about his art only. We don't know. It's an open space, there are open conversations, and really thank you, Aina, for being with us and for sharing so openly, and for our listeners to be with us after all these weeks. And so much to do. As Aina says, she works 10, 14 hours a day, and we all experience how fast the time goes. Talks are longer. That is true, actually, what you said. We just do business as usual, which perhaps already is part of the change we are experiencing. So we are forced to do less. So thank you for listening, and thanks to HowlRound for being our host out of Emerson College, Travis and Thea, and the great Vijay, and my team, Andy and Sanyang. So really, thank you for listening, and tune back and stay safe and stay tuned. And Aina, hopefully we see you in New York. You said you're in contact with the play company, the great Kate Lerville, one of the few companies that really early on really looked at international work. We don't have enough. It's a tunnel vision. It's a big island, but after all, often it is still an island. So we need to hear your voices. So that will be great. And maybe one day you we'll see your work here, and we have you.
Yeah, I hope.
Thank you. Yes, me too. So again, thank you all, and
thank you, Frank.
Thank you, and bye-bye. Thank you.